The last two U.S. service members left Niger last week as part of America's military withdrawal following the country's July 2023 coup, an agreement reached between the two countries. For more insight into the implications of this military fallout, VOA's Ndiho spoke to Edgar Githua, an international security and diplomatic expert at Strathmore University in Nairobi, Kenya.
The U.S. withdrawing from the Sahel region is largely because of two factors. Number one, like you rightly said, the coup d'etats. So the U.S. is a big proponent of democratic ideals. So the U.S. would not want to be seen to be operating in a theater where the government of the day is not legitimate because, they have gotten power through the power of the gun. So there is that to think about. Number two, state sovereignty, the concept of sovereignty. When these countries, Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, asked the US and by extension France to withdraw, they were invoking their sovereignty. They were invoking the rights they have as sovereign countries. We control the affairs that occur in our soil. So the US has got no choice but to honor the request of a sovereign country. If they do not want your help, then you have no choice but to withdraw. And two, remember, you're also withdrawing because it means leaving your troops there, you are endangering them also because they are, quote unquote, staying in a hostile environment, in an environment where they are not needed. If you remember watching the documentaries across those three countries, people are demonstrating, we want the US off, we want France off. So you do not want to leave your troops in an area where you're going to also expose them to physical harm. So the US has done the right thing, in my view, in terms of obeying the concept of sovereignty and walking out because those countries have requested and told you to leave.
How about the fact that when they leave a vacuum, and we've seen in some cases where once they left, the Russians or the Wagner group took over some of those spots that were held by these multinational forces, including the United States.
By the danger of the US and by extension France vacating and leaving the Sahel region is that power does not love vacuums. If one power leaves, another power will take that vacuum. And you've seen what the Wagner Group have done. The Russians, now renamed the Africa Corps, they have come in to help or to claim to help Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to fight the jihadists. The Wagner Group have gone there. They have committed atrocities that should actually be really looked into. So what if the Sahel really has a serious debate with itself? It has replaced, quote unquote, a neo-colonial master who was benevolent to another person, even though they're not claiming they are your master, but they are really literally coming to take advantage of your weaknesses and your vulnerability. So Russia is not going to be any better in the Sahel region. Russia has proven to be a very, very unfriendly and very unreliable partner, both in security, in food security, you name it. So the Sahel will only get themselves in problems. And Paul, if you've been following news, it's recently, like a month or two ago, the Russian mercenaries were beaten up by jihadists. Exactly. They were chased. So the question becomes, what military aid did they bring if they were going to be made to flee and run? Better the devil that you know than the angel you do not, because the Russians are going to be worse for the security architecture of the Sahel.
Edgar Githua is an international security and diplomatic expert at Strathmore University in Nairobi, Kenya.